What if the biggest story in every year after right now isn't whether Percy and Sam end up together, but whether Charlie even gets the chance to have his own happy ending? Because after that shocking season finale, fans are asking one major question. Is every year after getting a season 2? And honestly, after looking at the clues hidden throughout the finale, it feels like the show may have already revealed exactly where the story is heading next. Hey, what's up everyone? Come back to Breakdown Epic. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Now, before we talk about potential storylines, let's address the biggest question first. As of right now, Prime Video has not officially renewed every year after for a second season. And I know that's probably not the news fans wanted to hear, but here's the interesting part. Just because a renewal hasn't been announced doesn't mean the future of the series is in danger. In fact, when you look at how Season 1 ends, it almost feels impossible to imagine the story stopping there. Too many character arcs are unfinished. Too many questions remain unanswered. And perhaps most importantly, the creative team behind the show has already hinted that there is much more story left to tell. What stood out to me is that the people making the series aren't talking like they're wrapping things up. They're talking like they're only getting started. The world of Barry's Bay was clearly designed to support multiple seasons, multiple romances, and multiple character journeys. And that's where things get really exciting. Because Season 2 may not simply continue Percy and Sam's story, it could completely expand the universe. But before we get there, we need to talk about Charlie. Because honestly, I don't think enough people are discussing just how important that final cliffhanger could be. Throughout Season 1, Charlie often felt like the character carrying emotional weight behind the scenes. While Percy and Sam were dealing with their complicated relationship, Charlie was quietly becoming one of the most layered characters in the series. Then, the finale happened. Just when it seemed like he was finally moving forward, everything changed in an instant. That collapse wasn't just there to shock viewers. Personally, I think it was setting up the emotional core of Season 2, because if the series follows the direction many fans expect, Charlie's future could become the center of everything. And this is where another fascinating clue appears. During the finale, Charlie discovers a photograph that immediately grabs his attention. At first glance, it may seem like a small detail, but I don't think it was included by accident. In fact, I think it may be one of the most important scenes in the entire finale. Because that photograph could be quietly introducing a character who hasn't even appeared yet, someone whose arrival could completely change Charlie's life. Fans familiar with the wider story already know who I'm talking about, Alice. And if Season 2 happens, I would not be surprised if she becomes one of the most important additions to the show. What's clever is that the series appears to be laying the groundwork for her introduction, without directly putting her on screen yet. That's the kind of long-term storytelling that usually happens when writers have confidence in the future of a show. And honestly, that's one of the biggest reasons I remain optimistic about a renewal. The finale doesn't feel like a goodbye. It feels like setup. It feels like the first chapter of a much larger story. Now here's where things become even more emotional. Charlie's potential future isn't just about romance. It's also about survival. The finale strongly hints that his health may become a major concern moving forward, and if that storyline continues, it could add an entirely different layer to his character. Suddenly, every decision matters more. Every relationship becomes more meaningful. Every moment carries additional weight, and that could make Charlie's journey one of the most emotional arcs in the entire series. But while Charlie may be stepping into a larger role, Percy and Sam aren't going anywhere. In fact, I think Season 2 could finally explore something Season 1 only began to touch on, rebuilding trust. Because getting back together is one thing. Staying together is something completely different. By the end of Season 1, there are clear signs that Percy and Sam are finding their way back to each other. But their story still feels unfinished. There are years of history between them. Years of mistakes, misunderstandings, and emotional scars. And I think Season 2 could focus on whether love alone is enough to overcome all of that. That's what makes their relationship interesting. The question isn't whether they still care about each other. It's whether they can build a future after everything they've been through. And honestly, I think that struggle could end up being even more compelling than their reunion. But wait a second. There's another storyline that could become just as important. Because one of the biggest unresolved situations from season 1 involves Chantal, Jordie, and Delilah. And this feels like a storyline that's only beginning. Relationships have become increasingly complicated. Emotions are pulling characters in different directions, and there are still major questions about where everyone's heart truly lies. Delilah's personal journey especially feels like something the writers want to explore further. Her growing understanding of herself opens up countless possibilities for future storylines, and I genuinely think Season 2 could spend much more time developing that side of her character. This is also one of the reasons the show feels different from many traditional romance dramas. It's not focused on just one couple. It's building an entire community of interconnected stories. Every character has something going on. Every relationship affects another relationship, and that gives the series room to grow far beyond a single romance. Which brings us back to the future of the show itself. One thing that makes me hopeful about a renewal is the amount of material still available. The story world clearly has room to expand. New characters can naturally enter the picture, and multiple storylines are already waiting to be explored. That's a strong position for any series to be in. Add in the positive reception from viewers and critics, and it's easy to understand why so many fans are already talking about Season 2. Because honestly, it feels less like a question of whether there's enough story left to tell, and more like whether Prime Video is ready to continue investing in it. And if that happens, I think Season 2 could end up being even bigger than the first season. More romance, more emotional moments, more character growth, and potentially one of the most important chapters in Charlie's story. At the end of the day, that's why the finale worked so well. It gave viewers closure in some areas, but it also left enough mysteries behind to make everyone immediately start thinking about what's next. And right now, that's exactly what fans are doing. Waiting for answers, waiting for renewal news, and waiting to see whether Barry's Bay still has more stories left to tell. But what do you think? Will every year after get renewed for Season 2? Do you think Charlie's storyline will become the main focus moving forward? And are you excited to see Alice potentially enter the story? Let me know your theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more every year after updates, Season 2 news, theories, and future breakdowns. I will catch you in the next one.